Velocicular 13 is back, otherwise known as Mr. Pissed Off, for some personal reasons. Well, here's a little heads up, I don't review video games anymore. Now, I don't review video games or movies anymore unless somebody makes a request, okay? Good. Well, today I'm going to review something a little different. Who loves a Cleveland Metroparks Zoo? I know I do. I love zoos in general, actually. Zoo is just a big part of my childhood. Part of everyone's childhood. That is, if they're animal lovers. Because I was recently subscribed to somebody who visits the Philadelphia Zoo a lot. Thank you, Mary. Well, today I'm just going to do a little, Zoo magazine review. Let us begin. Now, I haven't getting any more of these magazines, but these magazines still seem to, lure me in. First, let's start with Proud Mama. Now, I got this at around 2002, or 2003. This is when the zoo's baby tigers are born, Dasha and Danya. They're the offspring of their mother, Gaia. They are Siberian or Amur tigers that are located in the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo's northern trek. Of course, there was a big baby boom. And, yeah. Baby giraffe. Baby rhino named Azizi. Baby bird, which not many people care about. Oh, and down there is something about the species survival plan that the zoo is participating in. I also like to know how cute and colorful these pages can get. I mean, look at all these cool photographs. I just skipped through a certain number of books. So, I could just go ahead to, since I'm only reviewing some of my favorite ones. Like, here's News About Roos, which is the first time African elephant crossing is ever mentioned. And this was like 2003, 2004 or something. There's some stuff about the zoo's kangaroos, wallaroos, wallabies, and tree kangaroos. And there's Creature Comforts, not to be mistaken with the Aardman TV show with the claymation animals talking. This is actually just about enrichment needs to make the environment for the zoo's animals, all of them, just for all the animals, just to make their habitats much more comfortable. There's a picture of the zoo's hospital. And there's the zoo's African white-backed vultures, which remind me of the vultures from a Jungle Book. But, these are some of my favorite birds ever. And here, Room to Roam, the first time African elephant crossing is mentioned, there's a 1950s era pachyderm building, the exhibit from, well, afterwards, and a little, thing about the future, just a stock photograph of an elephant in the wild, which is sort of like a demonstration of African elephant crossing. Here's Wild Chimp's Worst Nightmare. Oh yes, there's also I have to mention the volumes and issue numbers. It sort of changed gradually, which you will see. Again, some interesting photographs. By the way, down there, at first I thought that was a snow leopard, but that's actually the tiger. And these are not the zoo's chimps. Those are just wild chimps. There's the zoo's African crowned crane, which you rarely ever see. There's the bushmeat crisis. The zoo's pygmy hippo, which is no longer with us. This is a little article about the zoo's hospital, which was in progress at the time. Of course, that, I believe, is Mufasa. You may remember him from my past video, Lions Resting at the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo. He was considerably much younger in this photograph. I mean, look at him. Look at how blonde he was. And he's obviously my favorite character at the zoo. There's a little artist concept of what the hospital was going to look like, and it does look like that. And there's a crowned crane. The zoo's echidna, which lives in Gumleaf Hideout, where the koalas live. There's a tree shrew, and of course an African crowned crane. The fins are in. That was the first time the Touch Amazing Rays of Sharks thing first came to Cleveland. This is just stuff about the zoo's ring-tailed lemurs, which live in the Primate Cat and Aquatics building at the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo. This is just about an introduction to a new male, with he was just being introduced to a whole group of females. Of course, there's stuff about touch, just some facts about raising sharks. Oh, and the Victor Streckengast relief. He did stuff for like the Pachyderm building, the Birds of the World building, which you can't see anymore. Sad. Here's another little article about African elephant crossing. Of course, there's like a big map of the place. Yep, I was hooked to this image the first time I saw it. Believe me. Here's Muddy Mayhem. This is Inga, the zoo's adult female black rhinoceros, and this is her child, Zuri, who is no longer here. She was recently transferred for breeding purposes. Of course, she was the third rhinoceros born at the zoo. Oh, there's a picture of a gibbon eating a biscuit. What I believe is Martika, a lorikeet. One of the zoo's keepers holding a baby red panda. Yes, I'm serious, that is a red panda. There's Zuri. And there's Mufasa again. Look at that. Just look at these images. Who does not love the zoo for raising such a cute baby rhinoceros? Oh, look at how cute she is. She reminds me of my puppy. Unless you already know, this is just a little bit of backstory. Of course, the first rhino that was born at the zoo, her name was Azizi. She was born from Inga and a different male rhino named Spike. Spike was on loan from the Metroparks Zoo. And, well, later Kibibi was born to Spike once again, but then later Spike was removed and was replaced by Jimma, who was inexperienced with breeding, but things worked out. And then came Zuri and a fourth rhino named Johari. Of course, there's Martika, I think. This is just a few questions and answers about African elephant crossing before construction. By the way, herd, and herd is the word. Herd, and herd is the word. And here is the crown jewel. Leap into action from spring 2008. And you could see that they're no longer in volumes or issues anymore. Now it's just a season and a year. But this was leap year. This one was by far my favorite issue. First of all, they have a big grand picture of Mufasa. But not only that, it was the same year, well, a few seasons later, came the construction of African elephant crossing. But along the way, there are hellos and goodbyes. Reba, or Reba, however you pronounce her name, was an elderly gray wolf who died. And Huck, a California sea lion, died. Very sad. Oh, and there's Pugsley. And Echidna. Then, of course, this was the year for frogs, hogs, and dogs. Well, in preparation for African elephant crossing's construction, there were some new things going on, like touch still continued, and there were even Red River hogs that replaced the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo's warthogs. I don't know where they live now. Oh, and there were also New Guinea singing dogs, and a number of frogs that lived in the rainforest in these various tanks scattered. There is even Butterfly Magic, which is now called Flutter, and Professor Wild's Wild Animal Show. This was another thing that made this my favorite issue, because of this Photoshop image. This is not real, it's Photoshopped, with the Victor Streckengast reliefs of the mammoth and the mastodon put into the front gates of the zoo. Now, I was really looking forward to this. This looked amazing to me. But when I came to the zoo the following year, I was upset. Okay, not really, but I was a little disappointed. Of course, Trading Spaces, Pachyderm Edition. There's stuff about Blackie, the zoo's elderly hippo, going into retirement, so he went to go live in the giraffe's barn, where he'll no longer be seen on exhibit. He'll never come out. He's just there for retirement with a new heated pool, and he has the tallest exhibit for any hippo around. And he's actually the oldest hippo in captivity in North America. And of course, there's stuff about the African elephant crossing and the zoo's extended giraffe barn. Well, that's it for my favorite zoo magazines. Check in for part 2 for a look at my scrapbook of animals. It primarily features stuff from the Cleveland Metroparks Zoo. That's how it has involvement. You'll be amazed at how many newspaper clippings I got in there. So if you have any requests to look at the zoo's magazines that I haven't looked up or looked at or anything, then come and ask me.